Hey guys, tonight I'm talking about the cultural view of self. I know it's kind of dark out here and the crickets are chirping a little bit, but I'm going to speak up so y'all can hear me. Pages 152 to 153, I think, do a good job summing up such a broad topic like interdependent versus independent view of self. And it took me a while to read through and really comprehend it, but I think these two pages really nailed it for me. There's three aspects that contribute to the sense of self. The first is that our sense of self, our personality, usually remains constant throughout our lives. There's not much ebb or flow to it. The second is that our social circles, our families and our coworkers and our friends influence our sense of self, and they touch us and they mold us and they contribute to our lives, and vice versa. And the third component is that no one is ever really truly independent completely. So we're always interacting with other people. Our culture is interacting with us, the way that we're molded. So therefore, no one is really truly alone. I guess they're like a real hermit, I guess. But even then, so your culture contributes to who you are. When I think of independent and interdependent view of self, I think of two phrases that come to mind. So for independent, I think of look after number one. So you look after yourself, you take care of yourself, you are the priority. And for the second one, I think it takes a village. I think for interdependent, I think it takes a village. And that's a phrase that, like, my family really stood by and still does. You rely on other people to help you, and you make yourself available to them when they need your assistance in turn. I think interdependent nations would probably be like some socialist nations that come to mind, so like Sri Lanka or like Denmark, and other like European countries that follow a socialist pattern, I think would fall into interdependent, because the nation's money and resources are pulled together in the best possible way to be evenly distributed amongst people. And that in itself is taking care of others so that there's an even distribution of wealth, more so than helping other individuals get a head start. When I think of independent, I think of the U.S. and parts of the U.K., I think, because in the U.S. alone, 1% of the population holds 40% of the wealth. That is a very independent construct. Like, the fact that such a small amount of our population is so wealthy and so much of our population is poor is an issue that we talk about in American Families and Poverty, actually, which is where I got that statistic in that class. But anyway, I think the U.S. really lends more towards an independent construct or view of self. I don't really know where I lie in this. I really thought about it hard before making this video, and I think I'm probably more independent, and I don't mean that in like a negative way, or that I don't volunteer or want to contribute to my community. I don't think that's true. But I think maybe it's just growing up as an American. I don't know. But I think I really do look out for myself, probably. I'm really concerned about, like, the way I finance, the way that I fund my education, which is, like, just being a responsible adult. But I don't know. I wonder if it's just the culture that I grew up in, being an American, a middle-class American. I feel like I would always put my family, my immediate family first financially before I would contribute to my community. Other than like my taxes, I don't know if my family would always come first. I'll put it that way. My family, my husband, my kids, they would always come first in everything. And I think that's probably a little more independent than interdependent. Which is funny because I did mention that, my family being huge and from a different country, we were always an interdependent family. We always relied on each other and our community and our friends in our church. But I think personally, I really do think my immediate family would always have to come first before all else. So those are my thoughts, and I will hear from you all later. Bye.